Hello fellow gardeners, welcome back to the Humus Heritage channel. If you've been following along on your composting journey, you know that not every pile cooperates with us, and that's okay. Today I'm thrilled to share something that genuinely transformed my relationship with composting. If your compost pile is looking more like a dormant dirt pile than a thriving ecosystem, don't toss it just yet. I'm going to show you a ridiculously simple, almost unbelievable aeration hack that will bring even the most lifeless compost back from the brink, ready to supercharge your garden this season. The silent killer. Why your compost died. There's a particular moment in every gardener's composting adventure when you lift that bin lid or approach your pile and realize something has gone terribly wrong. The first clue is often that unmistakable smell, a pungent, sulfurous odor that makes you wrinkle your nose in disgust. This isn't the sweet, earthy scent of healthy decomposition. This is the smell of failure, the olfactory signature of a compost pile in crisis. Beyond the odor, you might notice sluggish decomposition where materials that should have broken down months ago are still recognizable, almost petrified in their original form. The layers of your pile have matted together into a dense, waterlogged brick that looks more like a collapsed mud fort than an active ecosystem. The root cause of this tragedy, more often than not, boils down to one critical enemy: the absence of oxygen. When your compost pile lacks adequate aeration, anaerobic conditions take hold. This creates a breeding ground for anaerobic microbes, the troublemakers of the microbial world. While aerobic bacteria are nature's decomposition superstars, breaking down organic matter efficiently and generating heat in the process, anaerobic bacteria are sluggish competitors that produce methane, hydrogen sulfide, and all those delightful rotten egg smells that make your neighbors question your sanity. The irony is that we often create these anaerobic conditions through well-intentioned but misguided composting practices. Perhaps you've added too much of those tempting greens, grass clippings, kitchen scraps, and fresh plant material that feels like you're doing everything right. But too many moisture-rich greens compress the pile, creating an environment where water fills all the air spaces. Maybe you haven't turned your pile in months because, let's face it, hauling a pitchfork repeatedly is exhausting work. Or perhaps you've been compacting materials as you add them, stomping down each layer to save space. All of these well-meaning mistakes have the same effect. They suffocate your compost, starving the beneficial aerobic microbes and allowing the anaerobic takeover to begin. The unexpected lifesaver. Let's talk about the compost lung. This is where everything changes. The hack I'm about to share with you isn't complicated or expensive, and honestly, I guarantee it will shift how you approach compost aeration forever. The solution is what I call the compost lung, a simple DIY device that creates continuous passive airflow through the heart of your pile without requiring you to lift a single shovelful of compost ever again. The compost lung is elegantly simple. You'll need either a length of PVC pipe or a rigid wire mesh tube, the kind of hardware cloth you'd find at any garden center, that matches the height of your compost bin or pile. What makes this work is perforation. Using a drill, create numerous holes all along the length of this pipe or tube. Think generously here. You want maximum air permeability. Space those holes about 2 to 3 inches apart, covering the entire circumference. The visual effect is almost like creating a Swiss cheese version of your pipe, and yeah, that's exactly the point. Installation is where the real magic happens. Once your pipe or mesh tube is properly drilled, you'll work a hole into the center of your compost pile. A sturdy stick or even your hands can break through the compacted layers to create an entry point. Then, carefully push your prepared pipe or mesh tube down into this central hole, positioning it to reach nearly to the bottom of the pile. Think of it as installing a vertical air highway running through the very core of your compost ecosystem. What happens next is, honestly, pretty remarkable. This central pipe acts as an air channel, creating a constant supply of oxygen to the innermost layers of your pile, the places that typically suffocate first. As air naturally moves through the perforated surface, it travels down and through the tube, distributing oxygen throughout the pile's core. Within days, you'll notice something extraordinary. The smell begins to change. That foul, anaerobic stench starts fading, replaced by the pleasant, earthy aroma of genuine decomposition. The pile's temperature often rises noticeably as aerobic microbes suddenly have the oxygen they need to thrive and work efficiently. Decomposition accelerates dramatically, and materials that seem permanently stuck begin breaking down before your eyes. Beyond the basics, let's talk about optimizing your revival. Now that you've installed your compost lung, timing becomes your next consideration. The best moment to introduce this hack is as soon as you notice your pile has stalled or developed anaerobic symptoms. But here's the beautiful part. Even if your pile seems hopelessly dormant, installing the compost lung will still revive it. However, for ongoing success, think of it as preventative medicine too. If you're starting a new pile, installing the compost lung from the beginning means you might never experience that anaerobic crisis at all. Depending on your pile's size and activity level, you can also use multiple pipes positioned in a circle pattern, creating redundancy and ensuring even the outer edges receive adequate oxygen circulation. While the compost lung handles aeration beautifully, its performance reaches peak potential when combined with complementary strategies. Examine your green to brown ratio. A dead pile often indicates you've been heavy on the greens, those nitrogen-rich, moisture-laden materials. Try adding more browns, shredded newspaper, cardboard, dried leaves, or straw. Browns provide carbon, improve structure, and help prevent the dense compression that invited anaerobic conditions in the first place. Adjust your moisture content to match that of a squeezed-out sponge, damp but not waterlogged. If your pile is soggy, layer in more browns to absorb excess moisture. Some gardeners also find tremendous success adding natural activators like coffee grounds, which provide both nitrogen and microbial boosters, or even urine, yes, really, which introduces nitrogen and beneficial bacteria that accelerate decomposition. Troubleshooting occasionally becomes necessary. If your compost lung isn't producing the revival you expected, consider whether your pile is simply too compacted. If that's the case, gently fluff the outer layers with a pitchfork to create initial air pockets. Sometimes a lifeless pile also needs a moisture adjustment. If it's bone dry, water it gently while keeping an eye on the compost lung's effectiveness. And, on rare occasions, you might find your pile just lacks the microbial population needed to decompose rapidly. In that situation, adding finished compost or some garden soil from an active pile will introduce those beneficial organisms. There's a profound satisfaction in witnessing your compost transformation. Once your compost lung has worked its magic, you'll notice sensory changes that tell you everything is working. Press your face near the pile and breathe deeply. That sweet, earthy smell is the unmistakable fragrance of active decomposition. Run your fingers through the material. It crumbles and feels alive in your hands, rich and dark like forest floor soil. This is the garden gold you've been waiting for. The benefits extend directly to your plants. When you work this revitalized compost into your garden beds or use it as mulch around your plantings, watch the visible transformation. Plants display more vibrant foliage, develop stronger stems, and produce more abundant flowers, or fruits. This nutrient-dense compost does what purchased soil amendments simply cannot match. It feeds your plants with slowly available complex nutrients, while simultaneously improving soil structure, water retention, and microbial diversity. Moving forward, maintaining a consistently active pile becomes your new normal. Continue monitoring moisture and the green to brown balance. Check your compost lung periodically to ensure it remains clear of compaction. With these habits in place, many gardeners find they never return to the anaerobic crisis state again. Your compost comeback story. The challenge awaits. Now it's your turn. I'm genuinely excited to hear about your compost lung experience. Build your device this week, install it in your struggling pile, and document what happens. Share your transformation story in the comments below. Before and after photos are always inspiring, and I read every comment you leave. Tell us about the moment you noticed your pile reviving. Describe that first time you smelled that beautiful earthy aroma returning. Or, share the garden successes you see after using your compost. This community thrives when we share our gardening victories and learn from one another's challenges. Your compost comeback story might be exactly what another gardener needs to hear to save their own pile from the compost graveyard. So please comment, ask questions, and most importantly, subscribe to the Humus Heritage channel for more transformative gardening hacks and insights that will help you build the healthiest soil and most thriving garden possible. Thank you for being here and happy composting, friends.